Once upon a time, in a peaceful village, lived two sisters who were as different as the sun and the moon. The elder sister, Zina, was known for her beauty. Her long golden hair shimmered like sunlight, her eyes sparkled like emeralds, and her gentle smile could light up the darkest of days. Zina was also kind-hearted, always caring for others and putting their needs before her own. The younger sister, Muna, while lovely in her own way, often lived in her sister's shadow. Muna had deep brown hair and eyes the color of the night sky. Though she was intelligent and quick-witted, she often felt overlooked because of Zina's beauty. She longed for the same attention given to her sister, especially from one very important person, the prince of their village. Prince Dinta, the heir to the throne, was the talk of the kingdom. Brave, handsome, and charming, he was admired by many, but he had eyes only for Zina. Whenever he visited their village, he would seek out Zina, offering her gifts and compliments. The whole village buzzed with excitement, whispering that soon Prince Dinta might ask for Zina's hand in marriage. Muna couldn't stand it. Every time the prince visited, she felt invisible. It was always Zina he asked about, always Zina who received admiration. A seed of jealousy took root in Muna's heart. As the days passed, that seed grew into resentment until Muna could think of nothing but how unfair it all was. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Muna overheard some old women in the village market whispering about a magical lake deep in the forest. According to legend, this lake had the power to change someone's appearance, for better or for worse, depending on the wisher's heart, and it also came at a price. Muna's jealousy took hold of her. If I could make Zina less beautiful, she thought, then the prince would finally notice me. Driven by her envy, Muna decided to visit the magic lake. The next morning, she set out on her journey. The path to the lake was long and winding, through dense woods and over rocky streams. As Muna walked, doubt crept into her mind, but her jealousy was too strong, and she pushed her doubts aside. She finally reached the lake just as the full moon rose high in the sky. The lake was beautiful, with water so still and clear that Muna could see her reflection perfectly. As she approached, a soft voice echoed from the lake, as if the water itself were speaking to her. "What is it you seek, child?" the voice asked. It was calm but powerful. Muna hesitated for a moment, but then her jealousy flared once more. "I want my sister Zina to lose her beauty," she whispered. "I want her to be plain so the prince will no longer notice her." The water rippled, and the voice spoke again, this time more seriously. "Are you sure this is what you want? If your heart is filled with jealousy, the price may be more than you expect." But Muna, blinded by her envy, ignored the warning. "Yes," she said firmly. "I am sure." The lake fell silent for a moment. Then, Muna felt a cold breeze wash over her. She quickly fetched the water into the bottle she had brought and hurried back to the village. That night, she poured the enchanted water into her sister's bath and waited patiently for the result. By morning, the village was buzzing with confusion. As Muna stepped outside their house, she saw a crowd gathered. Pushing her way through, Muna saw her sister Zina sitting on the front steps, her hands covering her face. When Zina finally looked up, Muna gasped. Zina's beautiful golden hair had turned dull and brittle. Her once sparkling eyes had lost their shine, and her smooth skin was now covered in blemishes. The villagers, who had always admired her, now whispered in shock. At first, Muna felt a strange satisfaction. It worked, she thought. Now the prince will look at me instead. But as the days passed, Muna began to feel the weight of her actions. Zina, though no longer admired for her beauty, was still kind and gentle. The prince visited their home and was shocked to see Zina transformed. He held her hand and promised her that he would stay by her side regardless. The prince seemed sad, but he never stopped speaking kindly to Zina. Meanwhile, Muna expected the prince to finally notice her, but instead, he seemed distant, as if he were lost in thought. Muna soon realized that the prince wasn't interested in Zina just for her beauty. He had admired her heart, her kindness, and her gentle spirit. One evening, as Muna sat alone by the pond near their house, her heart heavy with regret, she heard a soft voice behind her. It was Zina, her voice as gentle as ever. "Muna, I noticed you haven't been yourself lately. Please talk to me. What is troubling you?" Muna's heart ached with guilt. How could her sister be so kind even now, after all that had happened? Tears welled up in Muna's eyes, and before she could stop herself, she confessed everything, the jealousy, the trip to the magic lake, and the water that had changed Zina's appearance. Zina listened in silence, her face calm but sad. When Muna had finished, she expected her sister to be angry or to yell, but instead, Zina shed tears and hugged her sister. "Muna," she said, "the prince's attention was nice, but what matters most to me is the love and kindness we give each other. I do not want to lose that, my dear sister." Muna was stunned. How could Zina forgive her so easily? She realized just how wrong she had been. Her jealousy had not only hurt her sister but had also robbed her of her own happiness. Determined to make things right, Muna decided to return to the magic lake. Her feet were heavy with guilt, but her mind was set on redemption. When she arrived, the lake's voice greeted her. "What do you seek this time, child?" it asked. Muna bowed her head. "I seek to undo my selfish wish. I want my sister to be restored to her true self, as beautiful as she was before." The lake rippled, and the voice spoke again. "Your heart has changed, but reversing the wish will come with a price. You shall become ugly yourself." Without hesitation, Muna agreed. "I don't care what happens to me. I just want my sister's beauty restored." "Very well," the lake replied. "You truly have changed. You can return now, the wish is reversed." Muna hurried back to the village, her heart lighter than it had been in weeks. When she arrived, she found Zina standing outside, her golden hair shimmering in the sunlight once more, her eyes sparkling with kindness. The prince eventually returned to ask for Zina's hand in marriage, but the sisters remained close for the rest of their lives. The end. I hope you learned something from this story. Please, if you haven't subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button. Be a part of my growth. Turn on the notifications so that when I post more interesting stories, you'll be the first to get them. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your consistent support.